Hello everyone, and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Quezon City for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the round 2 match between Firristorm, who is playing a green-red Into the Breach, essentially, or sorry, not Into the Breach, but green-red Breach, using cards like Ill-Fated Travels to cheat out expensive creatures with powerful ETBs like this Dreadfire Tyrant. And to ramp up to these Ill-Fated Travels and other Breach-esque cards, Firristorm has an array of rituals like this Lotus Studies. Meanwhile, on the other side of the table, Crushcastles23 is also playing a combo deck of their own. They're playing Crazy Train, which is not actually named for these Northern Express Line-esque cards. It's actually named for Hellbent Speed, which is a card which reduces the cost of your non-creature spells as you cast them. And then once you hit a threshold of having cast 6 non-creature spells, makes them all cantrip. So you chain that with a bunch of other cost reducers and artifacts to draw through your deck, make a bunch of attackers with cobble transports, and win the game from there. So now Firristorm is setting themselves up for turn 3 Ill-Fated Travels, because with the Lotus Petal and the land drop is going to have 5 mana. Then we'll be able to Dreadfire Tyrant, which is considerably worse in this matchup, I will say. It basically just turns into, okay, I guess I'll hit you for 12, which is not bad, but then Firristorm is out of cards in hand and has basically, like, fuck all to do. Also, drawing more lands definitely doesn't help with that issue. And yep, here comes the Ill-Fated Travels. And followed up by a Dreadfire Tyrant. So yeah, it doesn't hit anything off the ETB like I mentioned earlier, but we'll still be able to swing for 7, and then on end step when it dies, drain Crush for 5. I think the Dreadfire Tyrant is it's not a bad cheat out target, but it's very much something that you'd rather probably play in like mid-range or control matchups where you can steal their threats and be disruptive while furthering your game plan. But otherwise, I think you just want like a Chikyu champion, because then that leaves behind a huge board which you can just use to kill them. Like if that had been Chikyu champion, Crush would be dead here. Like no questions asked. And Firristorm does have win cons in that vein, like Desert Worms and Leyrin Alpha, but not here. Also, really slow start from Crush here. It's going to be tapping out manually for a Cobbled Transport. Next turn can play Greedy Hands, and then Divination plus Cantrip, which should hopefully find something. But yeah, this is a really slow start. But he said it won't matter if it's a slow start if Firristorm keeps drawing lands. Oh my god. And yeah, that's the problem with Dreadfire Tyrant. Like, it just doesn't close out the game. On a positive note, though, if Firristorm draws a Leyrin Alpha, we'll be able to hardcast it in 2 turns, and that just wins the game. Oh, and what a top deck from Crush. Gets the Hellbent Speed. Now we're getting somewhere. Also notable is that Eternal Reactor is now a soul land starting next turn, thanks to its fusion counter ability. I think if you're Crush here, you probably just... I think maybe... you play the Northern Express line. And that'll tick up the Hellbent speed by 1. And then next turn, Crush has access to Greedy Hands for 4. And despite the flood that... And nice top deck from Firristorm. Just going to be able to careful study away these lands. But draws into another land plus Lotus Studies. Mana sources are not what the deck needs right now. It's pretty good on mana sources, thanks. I could see keeping land Lotus Studies. Yeah, okay, land Lotus Studies, because then you just play the Lotus Studies. No, play... I think not playing the Lotus Studies... There's literally no reason not to play the Lotus Studies there, as far as I know. Because you play the Lotus Studies, and that's basically just saving up the mana, and then if you draw into like a Desert Worms, you're like one step closer to actually being able to play it. Especially since they enter tapped. Oh no, wait, they don't enter tapped. Sorry, never mind. They just fix you. But yeah, I think like to have them be used as ramp and not just fixing, you need to actually play them. Oh, and Sage's Ashes. 2 Sage's Ashes actually loops infinitely and is a way to draw through your deck. So Crush could definitely just draw into another one and maybe just cantrip away into victory. So he's going to play the Sage's Ashes, and this is important because this ticks Hellbent speed up to 2, which makes Greedy Hands cost 1 less. So it's essentially a free play. He's going to use Sage's Ashes ability, look at the top card, and then draw, put it on top of the library. Ugh, another Eternal Reactor. Both of these players getting so flooded. Okay, is now going to play Greedy Hands. Didn't actually need to tap 3 for it because of Hellbent speed, but I think Crush just missed that. Don't know if it'll be relevant because Crush is going to be tapping everything to draw 4. Yeah. Okay, another Greedy Hands who can do it all again next turn. Glistening Chalice is a fine mana cost reducer, but not really what you want to see right now. And another land somehow. Again, I think next turn you play another Greedy Hands and try to dig for a second Sage's Ashes, because at that point you just loop through your deck and you're chilling. Firristorm with the Audition. That's another Breach-esque card, but doesn't have a creature to use it with. Crush is giving Firristorm a huge breadth in which to find one, though. Oh my god, another Greedy Hands. The deck is like, you want more card draw? Card draw? No win con. Only card draw. Also notable is now every turn onwards, Eternal Reactor is going to be increasing in the amount of mana it can produce. So it just goes up from here. Interesting, is not going to use... I'm surprised that Crush isn't using Eternal Reactor to just... maybe there's like a blue mana math I'm missing here, but I feel like you could just Island Eternal Reactor, add add 5 mana. But it's fine. Crush is just going to play the Glistening Chalice, cantrips of Greedy Hands, and gets a Forge Master's Altar. Can play Forge Master's Altar into another Greedy Hands. I think that's probably the line. Like Altar, Greedy Hands, you draw 1, 2, 3. You draw 6 cards, and then if any one of those is a Sage's Ashes, you can pretty much just go off. And yep, here comes the Forge Master's Altar. Sage's Ashes coming down. I think Crush tapped an island for that, which you don't have to do because it's free thanks... Oh, no, yeah, it can make them free. I keep forgetting that Hellbent Speed has, like, reasonable text on it, which is why you need the Glistening Chalice, actually, to go infinite. My bad. So Crush can't go infinite this turn, even if he does draw a second Sage's Ashes. Hellbent Speed used to not... it used to be able to reduce cards to costing 0. Well, Glistening Chalice is its younger, happier cousin, which can actually still do that. And here comes Greedy Hands number 2. So, notably, this puts Sea of Skies beyond to 10 counters, so next turn, Crush gets even more card draw if need be. Wait, Crush isn't tapping anything with the Greedy Hands? Crush didn't tap anything with the Greedy Hands. Interesting. Oh wait, no. No. Crush was just resolving the Hellbent Speed and other Greedy Hands triggers first before resolving this Greedy Hands trigger. Interesting, okay. So it's now going to draw Fat 6. And lots of juicy stuff in here. Unfortunately, can't use it until next turn. This does give Firristorm 1 draw step in which to get a big creature and then just Windmill Slam it with Audition. It all comes down to this draw. What you got, Firristorm? Commune with Nature allows Firristorm to dig deeper for a creature. I feel like it's unlikely that Firristorm whiffs in the top 5. No way! Firristorm dropping the F in chat? Does that... Timber Range, Lotus Studies, Fiery Erasure, Void Flare, and a Timber Range. No! What? That was so unfortunate for Firristorm. Though I guess, to be fair, Firristorm only runs 7 cheat out targets, and one of them has already been used. So not as many as I thought. I feel like you want at least 10. But yeah, if Firristorm had found a creature there, that would have just been it. That would have been game. Okay, and I think now that gave Crush the window that he needs to just win. Because Glistening Chalice is going to cheapen all artifacts. And yeah, with that, Firristorm is just going to concede. I think seeing... At that point, Crush was no longer just spinning his wheels. He was actively building up steam to combo off and win that turn. So, that was a weird match. Because it's not... Because usually the whole thing is like... Combo is all about out goldfishing your opponent. But we saw there that Firristorm got the goldfish, but wasn't able to actually convert it into an actual win because of their choice of cheat out target. And then Crush, who had a honestly excessively slow hand for his deck, managed to still come from behind and win because Firristorm wasn't able to put together a second combo. But yeah, definitely, I think that was an atypical game from what you'd expect from a combo versus combo matchup. Let's see what interaction these players might bring in out of the sideboard. So for Firristorm, I don't think any of these seem particularly like Shigure is kind of like your crazy win con. I guess you could bring in Shigure to just dome some artifacts, and also to have more actual factual cheat out targets that are good in this matchup, unlike Dreadfire Tyrant. Nature's Claim is also an easy bring in here. So I think you take out all of the burn, because all of the burn is just bad here. Then you bring in, I think you bring in two Nature's Claim, Shigure, and then what do you replace the four Void Flares with? I guess just like Fang, Stand Unassailable, and a Snowfield Mother, or maybe two Snowfield Mother, two Stand Unassailable, because gaining life actually does help against Crush's combo, because lots of it is just attacking in with Cobbled Transports. So I could see that. Meanwhile, on Crush's end, let's see. Seabreen, Null Mage, Temporary Treason doesn't really matter since it's a Breach deck. I could see Artificer's Persuasion coming in. That or a Seabreen, Null Mage, just like stuff that slows down Firristorm. I think as we saw there, Crush can't actually except on the best of hands, Crush can't actually out Goldfish Firristorm. So I think Artificer's Persuasion seems like a reasonable bring-in to me. Oh wow, and it looks like we've already gotten into Game 2 proper. Firristorm has gone for a turn 2 Lotus Studies, doesn't have another land though, so can only cast this Desert Worms if they top deck an Audition and not an Ill-Fated Travels. And it looks like they kept in the Void Flares, which is surprising to me. I feel like the Void Flares just don't do you any favors in this matchup. Draws a third land. You probably just go double Mana Ascetic to... If you go double Mana Ascetic, you're up to... you're up to 7 mana, which means that, like, Desert Worms is still out of your reach, but not by a crazy amount. Meanwhile, Crush has Hellbent Speed turn 1 into... and brought in the Replicator. The Replicator Mages, I guess, are interesting because you can... I think the Replicator Mage makes sense, but... I mean, I guess it makes sense if your opponent decides to swing in with, say, their Lair Alpha or Desert Worms, because then you just kill their entire board. But Firristorm can play around it by just attacking with the tokens and not attacking with their main creature. But I can still see it actually, I can still see it being a reasonable bring-in. I just think that preventing your opponent from comboing off at all is probably better. But yeah. Also, Hellbent Speed plus Glistening Chalice means that all artifacts now, all artifacts 2 and cheaper are now free. Still kind of a clunky hand here, but I think the idea is try to do something off the Ride the Storm. Because Ride the Storm now costs 3 less, so it's 5 mana. If Crush gets an artifact that costs 2 or less, we'll be able to just cast Ride the Storm next turn. Meanwhile, Firristorm getting up in mana here has 8 mana, 3 more to be able to hardcast his Desert Worms, unfortunately. It is very expensive. And until then, that's why I think bringing in these, or like keeping in these Void Flares was a bad idea. They're just not good cards. Ooh, but actually, I forgot, has the Lumbering Hillock, so it does have the mana to start animating this and swinging in with it, which is a dangerous proposition. That puts Crush on a 5-turn clock right here, which, given Crush's slowish hand, might not be the greatest. And if Crush runs out the Replicator Mage to kill the Lumbering Hillock, well, in that case, you don't have an answer for the Desert Worms when it does come down. Okay, Crush gonna free cast the Sage's Ashes, and there is the... And also, I should have known, Sage's Ashes was put on top by its own ability. So Crush is going to be able to free cast Ride the Storm here. Or not free cast, sorry, but naturally cast, because it has 4 mana from the lands, and then it's 4 cheaper. 1 from Hellbent Speed's natural ability, 3 from Ride the Storm's ability. Also, wait, Ride the Storm is also an instant, so you could just wait, hold up Replicator Mage plus Ride the Storm. I actually think that's a fine play. Instead, Crush is going to play a Filigree Lotus? Wow, unless I'm missing something, I really disagree with this. Oh, maybe there's something on top of Crush's library? Okay, Flawless Counterfeit drawn off the Sage's Ashes. Copying what? Copying Filigree Lotus? But what's the point? You don't have something crazy to cast with it, because you can only use it to cast artifact spells. I guess Cobble Transport? I mean, sure? I'm not gonna lie, this feels like... Okay, and now Ride the Storm? Not gonna lie, I kinda don't like this play. Reason being, I think you could cast Ride the Storm anyways. Um, so, like, if you can cast Ride the Storm anyways at instant speed, why not also just hold up the interaction rather than going through this whole rigmarole? I guess it builds up your board a little bit, but, like, it's not like you were choked on mana. You're choked on card advantage, which is what Ride the Storm is going to get you anyways. Draws 2 Northern Express lines and a Glistening Chalice. Can free cast all of this. So you free cast the Sage's Ashes, cantrip off the Hellbent speed. Then you can free cast the Northern Express lines as well. Ooh, okay. Sage's Ashes activated on top. Hellbent speed coming down. Crush has 1 blue mana floating, which means Crush can actually... I feel like if you're Crush, why don't you just play the Forge Master's Altar right here? Okay, you're going to play the Sage's Ashes again. Draws into Forge Master's Altar. And now Sage's Ashes doesn't quite loop, but it does... oh, and there's a second Sage's Ashes. With that, I think it just loops, right? Oh wait, no, I'm getting confused. I think that's the same Sage's Ashes that Crush has been looping this whole time. My bad. But yeah, I'm wondering what Crush is keeping up the blue mana for. Maybe for... No, Greedy Hands doesn't actually work. So, like... Because I feel like if you played Forge Master's Altar here, you would just be generating Mondo value. Did Crush forget about the floating blue mana? And there's a second Sage's Ashes, actually, factually. So now Crush is just going to loop the Ashes infinitely, gets to draw his deck. You drop another Hellbent speed so that all of your artifacts cost 1 less as well. You can drop infinite Forge Master's Altars. You make a bunch of Cobble Transports, swing for lethal. And yeah, with that, Crush beats Firristorm 2-0. That was a pretty cool match, and I think it just came down to Firristorm wasn't able to put together all of their... Like, first game was able to put together their combo with Blistering Speed, but then they didn't have the right payoff. Here they had the right payoff, but not the ability to actually, use it. And also Crush proving me wrong with that Ride the Storm. I didn't realize that Crush could just go off that turn itself. But having those 2 cost... I think what I was missing is the idea that, like, because you have everything cost 2 less, you just keep casting stuff, and then once you get to Hellbent speed on 6, you just spin your wheels, essentially. And that was why Crush was playing all of that, to get Hellbent speed up to 6 so that everything started cantripping that turn itself. So, and that eventually led into a win. So, good on Crush for, yeah, and I think that's why sometimes you just gotta respect the combo player's knowledge of their own combo. But yeah, good games to Firristorm and Crush. And until next time, this is Caillou signing off.